Hi everybody, welcome back. It's episode number 196. We're closing in on 200, which I cannot wait for. We'll get to more on episode number 200 later, but first, we need to talk about the Cleveland Guardians because they're only one game ahead of the division lead, folks. One game ahead of the division lead despite a poor 34-38 record. Oh, ye gods. That man right there was a hero last night, Andres Gimenez. He entered last night with a 244 average, 687 OPS, and not one, not two, but three triples. And on behalf of him, there's Jose Ramirez, who has a 285 average, 11 home runs, and 29 walks. He has more walks than strikeouts, which is pretty impressive. And Josh Naylor carrying a 288 average, 8 home runs, 53 RBIs. I'm just saying, Josh Naylor leads all first basemen in RBIs, I believe, in the American League. So if you haven't voted for Josh Naylor yet to get to Seattle for the All-Star game, highly suggest that you do. Stephen Kwan, 12 stolen bases, which will lead the Guardians, 2 triples and 16 doubles. His walk and strikeout total, virtually the same thing. And then you have guys like Shane Bieber with a 3.51 ERA, 69 strikeouts, and a 2.51 average. Logan Allen carrying a 3-2 record, a 3.95 ERA, and a 1.46 WHIP. And you have Tanner Bybee with 53.1 innings, 53 strikeouts, which means he's having 1 strikeout per inning, and a 1.31 WHIP. And Emmanuel Clase with 21 saves, 1.11 WHIP, and a 230 average. Now time to look at the series recaps, and honestly, it could have gone a little bit better for the Guardians. First things first, when they played the Padres, they lost 2-1.
Right-handers.
The Padres had 4 home runs in Game 2. Michael Wacha had 6.2 shutout innings in Game 2, and David Fry hit his first career home run in Game 3. That's right, it was a 3-run shot down the left field line. I honestly can't think of any home run, first career home run, down the left field line at Petco Park that was better than that. I really cannot. I don't know if you can either, folks. But yeah, Jose Ramirez, 2 RBI hits in Game 3, and Logan Allen only pitched 3 innings in Game 3, but still not a shabby day for him because he ended up seeing his Guardians win. And then this series right here, Guardians D-backs, it was pretty tough. Again, Guardians lose again 2-1. With their only win coming in game, what do you call it, Game 3 of the series? Of course, Jose hit a home run in Game 1. That's always a good thing. Touki Toussaint went 3.2 innings in his season debut in Game 1, and he is no longer with the Guardians anymore. My goodness, he was just there for 1 start, and that was it. And now he's no longer here in Cleveland. My word. Kwan and Ahmed Rosario both went 4 for 5 in Game 2. And get this, Shane Bieber pitched till the 8th inning in Game 2. And you might think and figure that he went a little too long that day because the Guardians ultimately lost and Bieber kind of imploded in that 8th inning. And Tanner Bybee in this game, 5 innings in Game 3, not too shabby for him. It was a blowout in Game 3, 12-3 victory. And then you had last night's epic game, the Guardians against the Athletics. It was a come-from-behind victory, folks, which included an RBI double by Jose Ramirez, I believe. Yes, it was an RBI double by Jose Ramirez to tie up the game at 2. And then in the 10th inning, Guards had the bases loaded. And then Andres Gimenez did what Andres Gimenez does best. Hit a walk-off down the right field line. Once he hit, you knew that game was going to be all she wrote. And Bo Naylor's been struggling so far in his first few games. He's had 9 at-bats so far, and he has had 0 hits. That's kind of frustrating. He's still yet to get a hit in the major leagues, Bo Naylor. Hopefully that will change soon. But yeah, going back to what I said earlier today, The Guardians are only one game out of the division lead. One game out of the division lead. Just for comparison, the Twins are 36-38, which is unbelievably bad. Oh yeah, the lights went out in game 3. I forgot to mention that. That was a little odd. But yeah, the Twins are currently 36-38, leading the division. And the Boston Red Sox are 39-35, sitting last in the American League East. What a horrible and pathetic division, but you never know what can happen. Maybe the Guardians will win the division. Hopefully they do win the division, because anything, and I repeat, anything can happen, I guess, this year. And look at the Reds. They're on a 10-game winning streak, and Giants are on a 9-game winning streak. My goodness, the Giants have been on fire, so have the Reds. Who would have thunk it? And who would have thunk it that we have 58 days to go till it's high school football time? Oh my goodness, it's almost here, folks. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I got the Suburban League right there for you. Next week, we're going to have the Greater Cleveland Conference and the Southwestern Conference. It's going to be a lot of fun out here, as for the next few weeks, we are going to look at some high school football out here starting today. That's right, folks, starting today. Looking at the American Conference, you got the Talmadge Blue Devils, in my opinion. I think Talmadge is probably the best team out there. I think they're losing Ty Hurst this season, but still, Talmadge is a pretty tough team. I got a feeling they're going to win the American Conference. And then Highland, the good guys, 7-3, 6-1. The 2 losses I have for the Hornets, or 3 losses, I beg your pardon, come to the hands of, who do you call them? Let me check. North Royalton, Brunswick, and Talmadge. But that should be a good season for us nonetheless. Of course, we got a bit of a quarterback dilemma. We've got Peyton, we've got Josh, we've got Dylan. All 3 are going to be battling for that starting job. If I'm Coach Gibbons, I'm half tempted to shuffle between them all just to see who, just to, catch them off guard and stuff. But yeah, Barberton's going to go 7-3, 5-2, with losses to Wadsworth, Talmadge, and the good guys. Get this, Barberton's playing a school in Pennsylvania. They'll be home that game, but still playing a school that's located in Pennsylvania. That's pretty interesting. And then the Aurora Greenmen going 6-4, 4-3. Don't sleep on the Greenmen, though. They're a pretty good school. Of course, for those that are unaware what the difference is between the American Conference and the National Conference, the American Conference, those are your smaller schools. National Conference, those are your bigger schools. Like you see a lot of Division I, Division II in the National Conference. You see a lot of Division II, Division III in the American Conference. But going back to where I was right here, the Roosevelt Rough Riders and the Revere Minutemen are both going to go 4-6, 2-5. And if I look at what I had, I'm going to have Roosevelt beat Revere this season on the last week of the season. Of course, that's something that, in years past, I used to handwrite what I think the schedule would, or what the games would be. But this year, I decided to type it out because I do not want to torture myself. The Copley Indians, 3-7, 1-6. Their lone conference win will come against the Cuyahoga Falls Black Tigers. And speaking of Cuyahoga Falls, 2-8, 0-7. I think they can beat Springfield and Akron, I believe. I think they can beat North and Akron. Of course, they've played Akron North a lot. And they've had their number as of late. And they've won their last 2 games against them in the last 2 seasons. So now time to move on to the Suburban League National Conference. I got the Hudson Explorers winning the National Conference with a 7-2, 6-0 record. Yeah, I was surprised to see that they don't have their, 10th game in yet. I tried to check on joeidle.com. And yeah, there's nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games for them. So 7-2, 6-0. Of course, the big game for them going to be against the Highland Hornets. My goodness. Cannot stress that out enough, but we'll get to that later. The Nordonia Knights, not yet. First, the North Royalton Bears, I beg your pardon, 6-4, 5-1. Yeah, they're going to lose 3 of their 4 non-conference games to Maple Heights. Wait a minute. Actually, they're going to be 7-3. I have them losing to Highland right there. I apologize for that. They will be 7-3 and 5-1. So excuse me for that. North Royalton very good at what they do. So ignore the fact that it says 6-4. It's really 7-3. I messed up. And then the Nordonia Knights. Now we go to Nordonia. Nordonia 7-3, 3-3. I think they're going to start off the season winning their first 4 games and then losing North Royalton, then losing Hudson. Don't sleep on Brecksville, in my opinion. I don't think they're going to be that shabby this season. I mean, usually they have that one season in which they just set the D2R6 world on fire. I believe they're in D2R6, if I'm not mistaken. They're going to be 5-5, 3-3. And the Wadsworth Grizzlies, your Wadsworth Grizzlies, are going to go 6-4, 3-3, with losses to Medina, Hudson, Nordonia, and North Royalton. I think you guys can be Barberton and Worcester. Let's see. Yep, I got that right this time. And Stowe, well, for Stowe, after going 1-10 last season, there's only one direction you can go, I guess, and that's go up. And I can see that happening. 2-8, 1-5, wins against Jackson, wins against Twinsburg, or wins against Jackson and Twinsburg, rather. They got a tough schedule, though. They got Medina, they got Barberton, they got Austintown Fitch, they got North Royalton, they got Hudson. Those are 5 teams that won't be easy for the Bulldogs. And then the Twinsburg Tigers, 3-7. However, I think all their wins are going to come against non-conference teams in Brush, Copley, and Akron North. Really, Akron North, Copley, and Brush, of course. They won a crazy game against Copley last season, I believe. 45-43, of course. Copley had the craziest scores last year. They were winning games and losing games that were in the 40s and 50s and maybe 60s. And then when they played us, they just got steamrolled 63-0. But still, Copley still made the playoffs that year. So I guess you can't complain. Time to look at some of the big games, whether they're interconference or in-conference games, including Highland Hudson Week 1. Cannot stress that out. 58 days to go. Oh, ye gods, I can't believe it. We are going to have a lot of fun out there. We are going to hopefully beat the reigning National Conference champions. That would be a lot of fun, folks. My goodness, imagine if we do. That would be sweet. And we're home this season. We are home this season against Hudson. Can't wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to play songs like Kerncraft and Sandstorm after every touchdown because we can. And week 1 will also feature Talmadge and Brecksville. Week 2 is at Serpentini Chevrolet Stadium for the good old Highland Hornets, in which it will be Highland at North Royalton. Every time we play North Royalton, except for last year, of course, which was like 41-0, if I'm not mistaken. Usually it's a high-scoring or very entertaining game. I mean, we had 41-40 in 2020. We had 45-43 in 2018. Both games won by the Hornets. So you never know what can happen anytime Highland North Royalton play. Definitely one of my favorite rivalries. Always fun to see, folks. And then you have Week 4 Talmadge against Barberton. That should be a good game, in my opinion. And then Week 5, we host Talmadge. Hopefully we get the job done against the Blue Devils. You know they're thinking a lot about that game last year in which they lost 27-7. So we'll see what happens this time. Week 8, Hudson, Nordonia. Oh boy, can't wait for that. That should be fun. Hudson is home. And then Week 9 will be Hudson at North Royalton. That's right, North Royalton looking to pick up the win out there. That should be a lot of fun as well. hopefully we'll see a lot of good action, and I shouldn't say hopefully, because I know there's going to be a lot of good action this year. My little brother's going to be in the marching band for Highland this year, which is going to be really something, folks. I can't wait for that. I'm going to film and be like, hey, there's my brother there in the stands. There he is. Just kidding. I'm not going to do that. I'm so not doing that. I'm definitely not doing that. So episode number 197 next week is going to feature same thing, Guardians and the Greater Cleveland Conference and the Southwestern Conference. Two great conferences out there featuring some pretty big schools in Northeast Ohio. Episode number 198, I don't know what high schools I'm going to cover. Episode number 199, don't know what high schools I'm going to cover, but I will cover the Guardians in 197, 198, 199, but not in episode number 200, because that will be the top 15 greatest PlayStation 2 sports games of all time. That's going to be an hour long because, well, I did top 10 back in 2020 when the world was going absolutely downhill because of the pandemic. Oh man. But anyways, that lasted about half an hour. So top 15 games might last about 45 minutes, so there is that. Well, folks, we did it. We did another episode of Tommy Maroon Sports Show. Thank you for tuning in this week. I hope to see you around, whether it's at Wadsworth, whether it's at Highland, wherever it is. Hope to see you there. So long.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.